treat in store. Super excited to chat with these two wonderful ladies. We're going to be talking about the skills gap and hiring security team members. And we're going to have you dream a little bit about what it would look like if hiring these highly skilled individuals was actually easy, and dare I say fun. And so that's what we're going to be chatting about today. Kelly and Sasha, thank you so much for being with me. I've got Kelly. She's the Associate Director of Career Readiness with Thrive DX. And I've also got Sasha. She's the Group Manager with HireWell and Thrive DX. And they are amazing when it comes to bridging this skills gap and helping to hire security team members for MSPs and MSSPs in North America specifically. So ladies, thank you so much for being with me. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having us, Jennifer.
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to jump in because the Thrive DX name is not one that I was familiar with. I think it's going to be relatively new to most people that are watching. So Kelly, let me throw this question at you first. Explain what exactly Thrive DX does, and we're going to use that as a springboard for the rest of our conversation.
Absolutely, I'm happy to. So basically, we're a technology ed tech company, and we focus on cybersecurity and software development accelerated programs. So these are long programs. They're about 8 to 10 months, where it's approximately 12 hours a week. They're instructor-led courses where we really give our students the skills to be successful in the job market once they complete the program. So they have the technical skills, and we're really, I think, fulfilling that call to action and helping decrease that skills gap when it comes to the technical market, specifically for cybersecurity and software development.
And then are you mainly dealing with the younger population, the people who really don't have a lot of experience in this world, and helping them step into the cybersecurity space?
I love this question. It's everybody. So there is such a mixed bag as far as our population of learners. So it's people that have graduated high school and they want to really hone in on their skills and get to work right away. So they opt for this accelerated program. We actually have quite a fair amount of students that are getting their bachelor's degree and they're taking this at the same time. And then we have, I think the largest population are learners that have professional experience, can be anywhere from 5, 10, 20 years, and they're looking to transform themselves. So they come from a non-technical background. A large portion are really in the hospitality, so really client-facing. And they're looking, they've had a passion where they've tinkered with computers and they really love technology and they want to transform themselves and get a job in the technical market, specifically cybersecurity.
That's fascinating to me that a lot of them are coming from the hospitality industry, because many times the cybersecurity individuals are so technically adept, but they don't have the people skills. And so that's interesting that you're marrying those two things. So lots of questions, but before we get to those, Sasha, share a little bit about yourself. Like, what exactly is your role in this puzzle, I suppose?
Yes, absolutely. So my background is actually executive search and interfacing with a wide variety of types of companies and their executive teams, including MSPs and SSPs, and helping them identify talent. And so currently I partner with, I work for Thrive. I work for HireWell in partnership with Thrive DX. And my role is essentially supporting the employer partners that we have, where they do decide to take our students and employ them into their MSP environments and really facilitate those conversations, those strategy, those talent acquisition calls as well.
Interesting. Okay, so for either one of you, then either one of you can answer this. Is there a charge for the students to go through this? You said about a quarter's worth of work. How does that work?
So are you talking about the program itself, or if an employer hires?
Yeah, for the program itself. Yep.
So there is a cost. So it's basically they're paying for the course. Okay. So there's a cost that the students will pay. And we have different options for them that they'll pay for this particular program.
Yeah, I actually like that because too often when you get things for free, you don't value it. So that probably incentivizes them to show up and take the classes and do the homework and study, when they're not doing a job or whatever the rest of their world is like. So I am all for not giving away things for free. So I love
Yes, it's an intense program. Again, it's 400 hours, so it really factors in to be about 8 to 10 months. So, we're definitely more expensive than some of the other accelerated programs out there just because of the timeline and the depth that we go into for cybersecurity. But it's really, from our students and testimonials, it's 100% worth the cost.
Amazing. Okay, so how long have you been around and where did this concept come from?
So we have actually been around since 2008, and the flagship company is in Israel, and it started off as HackerU. And then they launched so HackerU decided to come over to the US about 4 years ago. And they launched cybersecurity accelerated programs in the US. And we changed the name because we were broadening horizons and we added the software development program. So we changed about 2 years ago to Thrive DX. And primarily it was coming over to the US was to satisfy, and decrease that skill set gap and satisfy that need for talent in the cybersecurity space.
Got it. Okay, so I love that because that leads right into my next question because most of the people watching this live or on replay are going to be in the MSP, MSSP world, and that skills gap is something that is an ongoing theme, has been a theme for the past 5 years or so, and will probably continue to be a theme for the next, I'm sure, decade or longer. And so, one thing that I hear is that the MSPs, MSSPs are having a hard time competing for candidates or really even finding the candidates. So, you're definitely speaking to that need. And then the secondary piece that I hear is, and once we finally find them, we don't hold on to them long because they get swooped up by a bigger company who can, pay them more money. So, can we talk a little bit about the comp packages and how to handle that in the interview process? And again, this will be maybe that's better for Sasha. How to handle that in the interview process? How to talk about the total comp, and then how to continue that in your security culture so that you don't lose a relatively new employee just when they get spun up and they're finally acclimated to your company.
Yeah, that's a great question. So this is what I'll say after 10 years of recruiting executive search experience is that it is a fallacy truly to believe that employees only take a job because of salary. It's just not the case. Making a decision such as transitioning to a new job, a new career, it is a shift of identity. And with any shift of identity, there's a lot of emotional aspects to it, right? It could be their family life, it could be, their health, it could be all, people make different decisions to different, company for all sorts of different reasons. So that's my point there. With regards to addressing salary, it's really important that you really stay true and be very honest about where your budget is today and what you think you would be able to allocate in the future. I think that when companies, especially MSPs that are much smaller in nature, they tend to want to throw a lot of money out, to candidates, thinking that that's the way to reel them in, that's the way to get them to commit to your culture, that's the way to buy loyalty, but that's just not the case. And that's why a lot of MSPs, especially smaller ones, they'll hire people and then in a year or even 2 years time, they're quitting for a much higher level or a higher paying job. So there's a couple things. Number one, as I said, make sure you know what your budget is and what you can actually pay. Don't go over it. If you can only pay 120K, stick to the 120K. Being very honest and open with the talent up front about what the bandwidth is very important. But also having those conversations with talent early on saying, okay, at what point, like one great question you can ask talent is, at what point are you willing to accept this position? Is it at 119K or is it at 121K. Like, at what point are you willing to accept? And at what point are you planning on walking away from this offer? It's okay to ask those questions, because money is an important part. So that's one and two. Number three, talent, you have, the questions you ask in the job interview and really understanding what's important to that person is critical, right? So what kind of environment do they thrive in? What kind of leadership do they really want? What kind of technologies do they want to be exposed to? What are their working hours, the work flexibility? What are the benefits, right? And the list goes on. Being clear and asking those candidates what they want and what they need to be successful, and knowing whether or not you can successfully deliver that as an employer will help you determine, if you did hire them, their likelihood of staying, if you can match what they're looking for, will obviously increase. So, there's a lot that goes into it. But, the type of questions you're asking, making sure you know what you can truly offer to that candidate, and be honest really about what you can pay, and what your long-term, budgets could look like. That's really key.
It's so interesting to me because I always talk about that from a sales standpoint, that sales are very rarely won or lost based on budget. Can I say it's never a factor? Of course not. Sometimes it's a factor, but it's not the only factor. And I never thought about, like, this is really a sales conversation where you, the employer, are sitting down with a potential employee, and it is a sales interaction. So what is their buying criteria? They're buying the position with you, and money is a factor, and perhaps it's a big factor, but it's not the only factor. So looking at total comp, looking at benefits, like I was chatting with an MSP who has branded attire so that you don't have to buy any kind of clothing for the office. You don't have to buy business casual or business professional because everything's branded and it's all provided. I think the employee has to purchase their pants, but then everything from the waist up is provided by the employer, and they've got a pretty robust kitchen package, and like all of these things that go into it. They are all factors, and which is the one that's going to tip them over, who knows? But having all of those things in place is super important. Kelly, anything you want to add there?
I mean, I feel like I've never heard of branded attire before, but I think that's a trend that should catch on, and every company should offer that.
I would love it. Like, when I was working for an employer, it also takes there's one less thing that you have to worry about. Am I too casual, too dressy, too whatever? And now we all match. We all have the same polos or the same blazers or the same sweaters, what have you. So yeah, I'm hearing that more and more in the industry. So can you share a couple of tangible success stories? Maybe like where do the candidates start? What kind of positions are you placing these candidates in? Are they coming in as tier 3? Are they coming in as pen testers? Are they coming in as like that? I think that would help to take this out of the theory and bring it down a little bit more into real life.
Yeah, absolutely. So one recently. She graduated from our program about 2 years ago from University of Michigan, and she had a bachelor's in mathematics. And she was like, "What am I going to do with this? But I love technology, and I don't really know much about it, but I want to pursue this program." So she signed up for the cybersecurity accelerated program, and then she graduated, and she's a senior program analyst now. And this is 2 years later, and she was focused. She worked with our career services team. So she had a career coach to help her figure out, what's my career path? What's my career trajectory? What type of company do I want to work for? And she recently just did an alumni panel discussion for us to talk to our students about what she went through, the support that she received, and how she figured out what she wanted to do and what was important to her in her career trajectory. So there's really quite a few stories like that, and really from our students of all different ages, where they worked in restaurant and they have a client facing background, but it's non-technical. and they move into a support role. So they'll start off in IT support, and that's their comfort level. And they really gain a lot of knowledge through these support roles. And then, I think one of the most important things, and just to piggyback what Sasha was talking about earlier, is that offering your employees, it's not just the money, it's what's the culture, do you love the people that you work with, but then what's the opportunity you're offering them. Most people, I would say, 99% of people don't want to be stagnant at a company. They want to continue to grow and learn. So maybe you can't offer upward mobility, but can you offer project leads? Can you offer, compensation towards certifications? What are some of the other things that you can do in order to entice this employee to stay at your organization so they don't get scooped up by somebody else? It does take work to do that. So you can't expect somebody, well, I'm going to take this job and then just stay in a support position for the next 10 years, and that's across the board. That's for any industry, any organization, is that most people want some type of career trajectory and understand what's the path forward. And it's not always management, right? It can be just the opportunity to continue to learn and grow and continue to sharpen your expertise and skills in a variety of ways.
What about on the cybersecurity side? Because most of the people that are going to watch this or that are watching it right now will be looking more for cybersecurity talent. So can you share a success story or a success story or two from that side?
Yes. So I actually have some written down because I wanted to make sure that I was able to capture all of the wonderful things that our students have done. So we had one who was in biological sciences. So wanted to change careers and decided to go into cybersecurity. And then recently accepted a position as a cybersecurity analyst. So, I would say people are really able to understand and leverage their backgrounds in the cybersecurity field. I would say the majority of our students coming out of the program, they will go into junior cyber analyst roles. They don't start off in pen testing, and nor is that their comfort level. So I think this speaks to your clients that our target market is really your clients, and that's where they're going to start off, and that's where their comfort level is. Plus, they have those soft skills. So now you're taking the best of both worlds, where they have the technical skills from the intense cybersecurity program that they've just completed, along with their previous experience in soft skills. And they're able to marry the two together, where they're able to go into some type of support position or some type of analyst role.
I want to underscore those soft skills are so important, and they are very infrequently married with the technical skills. And so I love that. I think that's a huge pro that I wasn't even aware of till we got on the call. So I love that you mentioned that at the beginning, and we're quickly coming to the end as well. So I love that bookend, because I think that's an important piece of the puzzle. And I do hear that that stress or that frustration pretty frequently, that I've got a very technical individual, but they don't have any people skills, or they can't look people in the eye, or their emotional intelligence quotient is just not quite there. They're brilliant, but they're a little socially awkward. And so I love that you're bringing people who have that social interaction, that sociability factor, and then you're layering the tech skills on top of that. So that's a very, very fun piece to the puzzle that I was not aware of. And so you're placing them, or you're at least you're training them, and probably the type of role they're going to slide into. You said junior analyst, not a senior analyst, not a pen tester, maybe a level 2, level 3 tech with some upward potential, if that's what the
correct,
if that's where they end up. Okay. Amazing. And then Sasha, I know you work with them closely. Tell me a little bit about how an MSP could kind of kick off a conversation with you. Tell me what that conversation looks like, and I think I've got your email address I'm going to put on the screen as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we certainly invite every MSP, SSP that's watching to email me directly at sasha@hirewell.com. What you can expect is, me to reach out to you. We'll schedule a call together. And really that initial call is to understand your talent acquisition strategy, and really listening to your current state of talent acquisition. Where are the gaps and how can we improve it, and see. And typically the MSP employers that we do partner with, once they do talk to us, what they find is that in partnership with Thrive DX, we can certainly start pipelining, again, free talent directly to you, and just in general improving your talent acquisition strategy. The talent gap is quite big. There's a new stat that PCW came out with that showed by 2030, in the US alone, because of the talent shortage and the skills gap, the US will face an $8.5 trillion loss because of that. So, it's our social obligation to support in this way. And this is why we're doing what we're doing. And, jumping on a call with myself, it's a win-win. It's definitely a win for you for sure.
I love it. All right. So you can see the information on the screen, but in case you are driving, don't look at the screen. Reach out to Sasha. It is Sasha, SASHA, SASHA at hirewell.com, and ask for that MSP talent acquisition strategy call. And you're going to get a ton of value out of this to make sure that what is your path for the next several years? What's your strategy right now to be posting, to looking, getting that? It really is like a sales pipeline. And so if your pipeline is completely dry and you need to hire someone in 2 months, that is a very uphill battle. And so what's your strategy? What's your timetable? Who owns that? Who is managing that internally, et cetera? So reach out to Sasha, follow them. If you're on LinkedIn, make sure you follow them and watch what they're doing and support what they're doing for the community, but then also specifically in the cybersecurity and the software world. So ladies, any last minute thoughts as we start to wrap this up?
Just to piggyback again off of what Sasha said, this is free talent. So not only is it free talent, but then you have Sasha, who's actually going through and handpicking the right students for your particular positions. So it's no cost to you. So I would highly recommend at least a conversation with Sasha to take a look at strategy, but then also what is our talent pool and what are some of the opportunities that you have now that we could talk about, and hopefully, make a match between our students and your job opportunities.
I love it. Love it. Sasha, any last words?
Just, thank you for taking your talent acquisition seriously.
Yes.
Talent acquisition, it can feel very overwhelming. It can feel like a big monster that sometimes you don't want to address because it can feel scary. But there's plenty of great resources as ourselves who can really help you. So I really look forward to chatting with every single one of you.
Amazing. I'm going to put this up on the screen one more time so that you can see it. Sasha's email address is on the screen. Highly recommend, if you've got a security or a software hire to make in the next 3 to 12 months, get on a call with Sasha and get a strategy ironed out to make that happen. Ladies, thank you so very much for your time. I so appreciate it.
Thanks so much, Jennifer, for having us. This was a delight.
Awesome. I totally agree. Thank you both. Have a great rest of your day.
You too.